Today we're going to cover a little bit of Bizweaver by Third Wave Business Systems and the intercompany solution that you can deploy with Bizweaver. So the agenda for today is just a quick introduction, which Mike took care of graciously for us already. We're going to talk about some of the business problems and business issues that we've heard from customers and customers or partners over the years with respect to intercompany. We're going to talk about the delivered synchronizations or the intercompany functions that we've produced and built in Bizweaver. We're going to talk about the tools in Bizweaver, so that way if we haven't thought about it already, you're empowered to build more or alter what's there very easily. We will then discuss some other business use cases, some other things that Bizweaver helps solve. We'll go over benefits, why we think it really differentiates itself. We'll talk about multi-company reporting, what's coming in future releases, and then some administrative things like pricing, how to get started, how to learn, and how to get involved and get it in your hands. Like Mike said, I'm going to do my best to watch the chat window. I do have it open on the side. So if you have questions, type them in there. I'll scan them real quick here and there. If they're appropriate, I'll answer them on the fly. If it's a little bit more time consuming because we're limited by 45 minutes, I'll ask that you may just remain patient. They won't go unanswered. Mike will get back to you with some answers in the next few days. So let's move forward. So some of the business issues that we've heard from,
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
So good morning and good afternoon, everybody. I believe, so basically we'll talk about Bizweaver. So a little bit about Third Wave, if you have not met us yet. Third Wave has been working with Business One as our primary and sole ERP package that we implement and resell since 2003. Immediately, right into it, we started building add-ons that enhance the Business One experience, starting with a tool which originally used to be called Crystal Wave, is now called Advanced Productivity Pack, built back in 2004, and our add-ons have they've been certified since the inception of the certification programs. We will always support future SAP versions with especially Bizweaver, but all of our products. With our implementations and our products, the partners work directly with us, so we don't work with any distributors anywhere. We just work direct with you as a partner. And we have a support portal and a lot of resources for you to use. So we have a ticketing system for support. That same support portal allows you to do training. There's a knowledge base, etc. And we have, obviously, we've won many SAP awards for being both of our SSP, etc. So some of the business issues that we've heard from the field. So things like our customers have told us, we've got a lot of Business One customers. Our partners have told us, we've just heard it just from speaking with people. Really relate around intercompany. So that includes mistakes. So information not remaining in sync, so master data, for example. So if I added a GL account and I want to have the same GL accounts structured throughout my entire organization, throughout my 10 companies or something like that, they're not in sync. Or I add an inventory item in one company, it's not added in the other. So that's a common issue. Another common, obviously, issue is that very often the companies of ours that are running multiple companies are doing so based on things that are probably not exactly value add, but they have to do it because of statutory reasons. So either ownership or they have to report different in different nations and so on. So for example, we have a lot of customers that they'll have a Canadian partner or a Canadian company that's kind of under the corporate umbrella, but all sales in Canada have to go through them. But really it's just a shell company because all the U.S. operations are being done in U.S. The product's being manufactured here. They're actually doing the shipping and the packing and so on. So they really don't want to have to add lots and lots of headcount in that Canada company to process those orders. So the labor-intensive costs, they're just too high. So our intercompany solution is really, it focuses on being able to handle all the high number of transactions that have to be done in between them, right? So make sure I do the right intercompany price between them, make sure I only have to key it once, I don't have to key it over and over again, and it takes care of the replication and the synchronization of that. obviously you can't ensure intercompany transactions are properly being charged and created. So basically, are we actually, finishing them? So when this company says they ship, are they actually closing out those transactions in the other company? Or did we forget to do it? Did something fall through the cracks? We want to make sure that that stays stable. Some other solutions that we've worked with in the past don't support intercompany payables. So there's a couple slides here about a solution that we built for some customers where they want to be able to have one of the companies be the paying arm and be able to then charge their other related companies for parts of that AP invoice. So the example that we use in our demo here a little bit further down is I have to pay a phone bill. I get to charge myself part of it, and I want to be able to charge my sister company another part and have it actually create the intercompany do tos and do froms because of that. So that's an example that we do. Plus, and then finally, reporting, obviously. All right. So now we'll demonstrate a few different scenarios. So the first scenario that I walk through in my demo environment is the intercompany sale. So the common solution or the common theme that we've had with our customers on intercompany is, like I said earlier, we have a company, and I'm going to use icons in my demo here, that is merely a reselling arm. Right? They're not really adding a whole lot of value. They're set up for operation for the purpose of being able to sell maybe in a different country or in a different region or under a different ownership or through acquisition or something like that. They're basically getting their customers' orders, and they then need to buy it and have the real main company, the factory, photo, ship the products for us. So basically the simple scenario in this case is my customer, the guy on the left, sends me a purchase order. I want to put the sales order in SAP, have it automatically, or just use, like, say, the procurement generation wizard to then create the PO to this company and then have this company automatically have my related sales order to me. So in the interest of time, I know you all know SAP. We've got a pretty simple demo video here that just kind of shows you a little bit what we're doing here. So essentially, I'm doing my normal customer order. Right? So we're taking an order for a line or one or more lines from the customer. We put in the products and so on. So nothing particularly challenging here. But what I am going to do is I'm going to say, let's run this procurement generation wizard for the intercompany. Now, a couple key points here. The solution absolutely does support non-serial tracked or batch tracked items, and serial tracked items. And basically here, what we're doing there is in the procurement generation wizard, I'm confirming that I'm picking the actual vendor who's been assigned as my multi-intercompany vendor. So obviously, procurement generation generates PO number 1285. Nothing vastly exciting. But what is exciting is that Bizweaver now picked that up in the back end and generated the related sales order in the other company. So we're switching over to a different SAP database now. We're on the other one using the little factory icon, and voila, the intercompany sales order number with the purchase order number 1285 magically appears. Now what's important is it maps the way I wanted it to map. And so you might say, all right, how does Bizweaver do that? So this is where the beauty of this thing comes into play. Basically, with Bizweaver, normally it's a clean slate. You get to build whatever you want in here. But what we've done is we've actually supplied and we've built some intercompany scenarios that will then look for something to happen, and when that event happens, it does an action. So in this case, it's really simple. It runs a query against my database or databases, determines if there's intercompany purchase orders that have been created but not yet replicated as a sales order in the other company, and then we use the mapper to then replicate and generate the sales order in the corresponding company. So you'll notice, and I'll actually show you this live in a second here, but you'll notice that there's basically a couple different steps. One is to get the data and prepare the data, and the other is to map it. And what's nice about that is two things. All you need to know in order to be able to work with this is SQL, if you want to alter these, and you drag your mouse from the source on the left to the destination on the right. And knowing what you know about SAP, it's pretty simple. You've got orders, you've got your documents, your document lines, your address extension, and so on. If you want to add more into the schema, so you have a customer, and in your scenario, in your implementation out in the field, you need to now map, say, the serial number object. Now again, this is an order. So normally, we have not needed to do the serial number allocation or the batch number allocation during order processing because the factory company is the one that's got the stock or is potentially making it. So the reselling company, normally that is not the case. However, when it comes to shipping, we do allow for that mapping. Not saying you can't do it here, just not commonly needed. Again, if you needed to do it, you simply just add that into your deployment for that particular customer. So I'm actually going to, let's look at Bizweaver Live for a moment here. So I'll just show you that particular workflow. I opened the wrong one. Okay, so basically, like I said, you're doing some SQL to prepare your data. So it's pretty simple. Behind this little database guy is a query, and the query is written to basically just say, get all purchase orders and their information that is needed to sync this order over. We've done most of the legwork for you, but you have the power to alter it if you want. All you need to know is your SAP data structure, which most of us do. And then from there, this produces a result set, and you simply take that result set in the mapper. The result set is going to be here on the left. Sorry, bear with me a second here. I broke my SQL. We'll use this one as an example. The result set is going to be on the left-hand side, and the destination is going to be on the right, and you simply drag your arrows from left to right. So the next scenario, I won't go through these in excruciating detail, is the shipment. So I'll let it go kind of on its own. So now the shipping company, they're the ones that are going to actually take that open sales order that's going to be intercompany, which is going to have, say, the customer's shipping address on it, for example, and they're going to take that package and ship it directly to the customer. Now, it will support being able to ship it to them first and then let them ship it to the end customer, but commonly that is not what happens. What commonly happens, we've seen on our implementations of this, is they direct ship it, and it's merely just a pass-through. So in this case, in this scenario that we've got here in our demo environment, they ship direct to the customer. Customer receives the goods, but it's got to automatically generate a bunch of intercompany. It's got to basically complete that marketing document series. Okay, so we'll see that happen now. Let's start the video. So basically what here is now we're actually in the supplier, right? So we're in the factory company. I ship that sales order, generates the delivery, right? The human does it. They say what they shipped, they package it up, and they simply click add. They're done. So the shipper needs to do nothing else other than actually package it up and send it out. Now what is important here is that the intercompany tool will then take that delivery and automatically close it, because we've got a set intercompany price, right? Our arranged price between these two, between me and my sister company, is X. I don't need to manually generate the invoice. So the first thing that the intercompany tool does, and I'm showing you this through the relationship map, is generate the intercompany invoice. So not the most exciting thing, but it's good. It removes the burden. So now what we've done is we've switched over to the reselling company, and we will look at that particular purchase order and now look and see what Bizweaver is taking care of for us. So in this case, and I'm just going to pause it. Come on, mouse. All right, it stopped. So in this case, Bizweaver took care of automatically receiving the goods in, and if needed, it will receive the batches in as well and the serial numbers in as well, then ship them out to the customer and mark them shipped as if I shipped it or my vendor did a drop ship for me, and automatically took care of the AP invoice for the intercompany price. Now, one note, in my scenario here, I do want to automatically invoice the customer for the goods because I've got the set price. I don't need to add necessarily freight. I don't need to look at it. We have Bizweaver automatically bill the customer. That's optional. and I'm going to show you how to play with that and change it if you need to. But so some of our customers say, I don't want to do it. I want to leave it as an open delivery. I want to go through the document generation wizard or whatever tool I might want to be able to see those open deliveries and convert them to invoices manually, one at a time. That's up to your customer. So again, how Bizweaver works, you get to see that flow. Now in this case, it's actually doing a lot more than the prior example. In this case, it's generating the intercompany AR invoice first, then the intercompany goods receipt PO second, then the intercompany AP invoice third, then the delivery to the end customer fourth, and over here on the far right, that's where it's generating the AR invoice to the customer. So let's take a look at that one in live. So you see it in live, it's the same thing. And again, you've got your query to prepare your data. You've got your mapper to map it into SAP. And this actually runs the SAP update. So it goes through and loops through. Let's say you don't want to actually generate the invoice. You simply right-click on a step, you remove it, right-click on a step, remove it, and you're done. So if you want to add more stuff into this workflow, so a lot of questions people have asked, common questions are, when you generate the intercompany delivery, can I get an email alert notifying me that you've done it? Absolutely. You simply just drag that email icon in, and you put it somewhere where it makes sense. So maybe right here, I won't configure the email in detail, but you'll notice when I do that, there's a lot of information behind it. However, I don't want it to happen after the end. I want it to happen after here. So I simply say intervene, put that there, and then move on to the invoice. And actually, we'll put that over there and put it to the invoice, and then end it off. So it's pretty easy to alter these. All you need to learn is how to do the mouse, and I'll explain about learning Bizweaver. And then obviously, if you say on the invoice, who do you want the email to come from? What kind of content do you want to come into it? And even in here, you can dynamically put data in here from anywhere in SAP or anywhere within this workflow. So if I want to hard code the name, I can. If I want to use variables and variable data, I can as well. Gives you all the power in the world. But again, we're not claiming to know every single thing. We're simply saying we've built a pretty good set of predefined workflows that we will provide to you. And from there, we give you the knowledge and the know-how and the ability to do basically whatever you want with it. All right. So let's see, next on the list. So in this case, this was a scenario where our customers have intercompany payables. And it's a pretty cool one. Basically, I'll show you that one. Let's walk through it. So basically, the reselling company gets an AP invoice from, say, of a supplier for overhead costs, and they want to be able to charge their sister companies. All right. Let's take a look at that scenario as well. So in this case, basically going to key in an AP invoice, but the screen's going to look a little different. So let's have a look at that. So I select the vendor. In this case, since it's an overhead expense, I'm going to change it to a service invoice, and we pick our vendor. Then we just start, it's pretty unexciting. We're just saying we're paying the phone bill, put in the vendor description of the charges. And basically what you would do is for each line, you can then say, how do you want to charge it? So if I just want to take the expense on myself, I just charge it to myself like I'm doing in line 1. So in this scenario, line 1 is going to be for a certain dollar amount, and I'm just charging it to my phone expense. So bear with me while I do my recorded typing here. Now line 2, I don't want to charge it to me. I want to charge it to someone else, to a different partner company. And in this case, the accountant would then pick the intercompany AP account or the intercompany due from account. So because in this case, they know I'm charging the other division. And of course, obviously, business 1, you could put, if you wanted to put a formatted search in there to automate it, that's obviously possible. But what's different now is if you look over to the right after I put in the tax code and the dollar amount, I'm going to pick a company. So in this case, I'm going to pick which other company I have in my data set that I want to charge this to. And when I do, the lookup on the intercompany GL account field looks up and generates and shows me that company's chart, not my own. In this case, they're the same, but they don't have to be. And that's okay. It'll support even different structures. So if they have a 10-digit chart and I have a 30-digit chart, that's fine. So when I post this, it's just a posted AP invoice. And what it will do for me, Bizweaver, the Bizweaver flow, it's going to say, let's look at the intercompany transactions. On the other company, we're just going to change over to the other supplier company, the other factory. It's going to generate a corresponding journal entry that's going to appropriately charge. Now, just bear with me here. I want to pause it. Let me screenshot that for you. Bear with me a second here. Okay, so it creates an intercompany journal entry. Obviously, on one side, it's going to be the intercompany due to my parent company, and on my side, it's hitting my phone expense. But we're also mapping into the various reference fields, things like the vendor invoice number, the AP invoice number, comments that say it came from this other company, and so on. So whatever I've typed in the other company, if I had typed a proper vendor invoice number, I'd get to see it in the Ref2 field. We've chosen to put them in the right fields, the same fields that SAP normally posts them in when it's posting from AP to GL, so that it kind of follows the same premise. Okay. And that one was actually a really easy workflow to set up. It's, sorry about that, it auto-advanced on me. Pretty easy workflow to set up. Basically, it runs a query to say which AP invoices do I need to look at and what kind of data do I need to flow over, map it in, and post it. So that's a pretty simple one. There's also a master data sync. I'll show you that some examples. And the way we've built that one, let's take a look at the AP one first. So pretty simple again, like I said, you simply just, you have your map, you have your query, your information, you take the data that's from your information over here and you map it into the journal entry. So if your customer requests something that's out of the ordinary, it's different, you want to be able to tweak it. Now I want to be able to take this field, the memo field, and I want to map it to say, the memo up top. Right, so let's look at the header. It's already mapped at the header, but I want to map it to another field on the bottom. So let's just say, for example, I want to put that into the Ref1 field. Fine, you can do it. I just hit OK, and now that's live. There's no need to like recompile or anything like that. As soon as I hit OK and hit save, that is a live change. Okay. If you want to make changes to it and you want to duplicate the task, you can simply export and import it and duplicate it. So if you want to try to do some tests and point to test databases, it can handle that. And you can test one at a time or all of them. And basically what happens is with Bizweaver, you install it, it's blank. When you, we will make available for you the ability to get all these existing workflows, and you simply just run the import utility to say, all right, go pull a file, it exports, we provide you files, you would import them in. And once you import them in, it'll sense, I'm in a new environment. I'm not in the environment that I was in. So I don't see SBO Demo US. I don't see this database. I don't see this connection. So what it'll do is it'll say, okay, for this workflow, so for example, if I look at this query, this is telling me connect up to this company database. But it's going to sense I don't have that company database, or during the import process, even if it's there, it's going to say the one I'm importing is currently connected to database 1. Which database do you want me to connect it to? And you'll be able to, once you do an import of one or more workflows, you'll be able to then pick which connection you want to actually apply it to. So if you're okay with stock, with the way we've built it, super easy. If you want to adjust them, it's also pretty easy. All right, so those are some of the predefined flows that we've provided. We're going to be perpetually adding more as time goes on. So you might say, all right, what else can Bizweaver do? So the different tools that are currently available in Bizweaver, which we've seen a couple. We've seen the SQL commands, so basically you write SQL. So the SQL commands can either be a select or an update if you want. Obviously, you don't want to update SAP Business One data because, or do inserts into SAP Business One. So that's why we provided the SAP Mapper tool. Okay, so that's the next tool. Then you've got a bunch of other tools that are really good for workflow type operations. So the decision tool, if I get to a point and I need to decide, do I want to go this path or that path, we can do that. So a good example that we've used for decision making is, in this case, I've got an example where I've got a multi-company potential example here. So, which makes it a little more complex. In this case, I have 3 companies. So I have one company that would actually, kind of run the thing that says I've created a delivery, but it might actually have to replicate to company 1, and it might replicate to company 2, depending on which intercompany trading partner or business partner I'm working with. So the decision tool will then pick up and say, all right, if it's this company, then go that path. If it's that company, then go that path. So what we've done is we've simply mapped it one time, but then we say if it's company 1, go here, and if it's company 2, go there. And the reason we need to do that is if you look at that company connector, this is where I'm saying which company I want to hook up to. So in this case, it's SBO Demo, and in that case, it's TWBS Demo Supplier, so that's the company name. So hang tight, hang on to that thought, because we're going to see some changes in the future release that's going to make that even better. But those are some examples where I may use a decision. Plenty of examples in that you can use here that would make decisions. Right? You could say something like, did it post to SAP okay? Yes. Then send me an email saying successful post. Did it post to SAP not successfully? Then send me, because SAP rejected, then send me an email, say what the why SAP rejected it, why the business one rejected it. So that's a good application for the decision. The looper, the loop tool, that'll allow you to actually do repetitive operations. So if you said, I've got 50 orders I want to do and I want to post them one at a time, the looper is an example of why you might want to do that. The looper is very important for other functions too. Things like e-commerce integrations, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. There are certain times where you have to absolutely use a looper. So an example might be, I've got 10 orders to work on the first one to do this, work on the second one to do this, work on the third one to do this. The looper may actually, there are certain operations that you have to perform, not necessarily posting to SAP, but doing things like integrating with e-commerce web services. You have to use the looper in those cases. Right. There's a Crystal Reports tool. So if you said, I want to build something in here to automatically send the customer a copy of their invoice as soon as the other company ships the goods, it's quite simple. You take this particular workflow, and now you drop in the Crystal Reports tool, put it in over here, and you point to your invoice layout. You say which invoice or invoices you want to print, but then you take that Crystal Report tool, you tack on an email communicator at the end of it, and it'll automatically email a copy of those invoices to those customers. And all you need is a little bit of training in order to do that. So if you want to alter the process so that the workflow includes not just processing those intercompany transactions, but then communicating with the end customers, perfect, we can do it. All right? File operations. So when you're working with other systems and so on, there's operations like move file, copy file, delete file, and so on. There's file reader, so being able to read a file that's either a text file, tab delimited, or a comma, colon, pipe, etc., those types of delimited types files. It can do that. It can read XML. It can read JSON. And it can also write to those types of files. So if you're working with a legacy system, another system that wants to deal with operations of files, movement of files, we can work with those. I always like to say, for anything that the other tools north of there have not been able to do, VB scripts generally fill in the blanks. So calculate what today's date is, get a page number, set variables, and so on. The VB script tool is kind of like a nice little all-purpose tool set for you. Okay. The last two is a web service connection. So if you want to talk to any web service-based system, it can do that. Right? Not only can it do that, it can also talk to something like an e-commerce site, such as BigCommerce. So here's an example of a BigCommerce integration, where, for example, in this case, I'm saying go out to my e-commerce site. Right? So go to my BigCommerce store and get the orders information and start writing them into SAP. Right? But not only can it, so if you notice, it's very textual based. So I say, what is my URL for my web service? And then there's some other information here. There is some examples where it's not textual based. So if I want to have it talk to a Salesforce.com CRM, I can do that. So you'll notice here I can say work with Salesforce, get my token, or it can actually see, you could have it come in here and say, let's go start communicating with Salesforce. Get new quotes, turn them into SAP quotes, or get a quote that hit a certain point in my Salesforce.com workflow and turn it into an SAP order. Sync up my customers, sync up my contact IDs. So the web service tool is pretty neat to be able to do that kind of work. And then finally, I showed you the email tool. So obviously, I've hinted at some other things that our customers and our customers' customers have been wanting to do with Bizweaver. Integrations with other systems like e-commerce systems, CRM, Salesforce.com. We've got some pre-built integrations to Concur for both the travel and expense system, and the system that they call AP invoice, they just call it Concur Invoice, but it's basically, some of our customers, the larger ones, have the OCR where the invoices go into a general mailbox, Concur picks it up, and OCR reads the data of the invoice and puts it on and goes through a approval process, and they can actually pay it out of a purchasing card or a corporate account from that Concur system. But they still need to post those as AP invoices with associated payments into SAP. We've got some integrations using Bizweaver to talk to that one. And we've got plenty of other companies that are doing stuff with other systems that are just not, they're integrating with other systems that are not one of the above. Finally, we've got a lot of projects where we're doing integrations and workflow with trading partners. So very common is the 3PL warehouses. So warehouse ships on my behalf. I want to send them orders, or I want to send them pick lists, and they come back and send me what they shipped. I want them to tell me, I want to send them our purchase orders so they know what to expect as far as goods receipts. When they receive the goods in, they give me data coming back in that says what we received. Those are common integrations that we've done with them. We've got some that are web service based because they're a little more sophisticated, some that are actually text based because they're a little less sophisticated, and some that are actually doing it with EDI. And then although this is not an EDI mapping tool, we've found that having Bizweaver is very important and integral in a lot of EDI implementations. So some benefits, some reasons why we want you to work with us and why we think it's a good tool. One is it's developed by consultants for consultants, right? So that's who is in mind. It's not made for developers. You don't have to learn any real new language or any new programming skills. It's merely SQL and a lot of just understanding general concept of Bizweaver and mouse operations, right? Using your mouse. We've included, like I said, the pre-built workflows that are specific to Business One, especially for Intercompany. Right? It's easy to customize. You only need to know SQL. You need to understand the idiosyncrasies of SAP Business One, and you need to work your mouse. Right? There's a bunch of logging behind it, so there is a complete set of logs, SQL tables that will allow you to actually see what's going on when I do things. Right? Are there errors? Are there issues? And I can always look at my logs. It's easy to add and distribute new features. And that's both for you, the partner, the customers, if you want to train them on it, and us as well. So we can push down features easily to you if we want as well. It can support multiple SAP servers on the Intercompany. So if I have Company 1 on Server 1 and Company 2 on Server 2, it will support that. All right. Just one note, one instance of Bizweaver does require, it interacts with SAP DI Server. So you cannot have multiple versions of DI Server on a Bizweaver server, for example. So technically speaking, Bizweaver doesn't support Intercompany with different versions of Business One. So if Company 1's on version 9.1 and Company 2's on version 9.2, technically speaking, it doesn't do it. But if you really needed to do it, you could make it work. All right? Not a common scenario. You can always retry. You can do retries. It failed. I updated some data. Let me try it again. It'll do it. And then also, it works in a cloud control center environment as well. And finally, personally, I don't know why this is a benefit, but I've heard quite a bit that it does not use and leverage B1I. It leverages DI Server. Sorry, let's get this one to ping. So reporting. So Bizweaver is not a reporting engine, but what we have found that all of our customers that are multi-customer environment do not want to have their intercompany transactions replicated in a single consolidated company database. Not a single one of our customers wanted to do it that way. So what they want is they want reporting consolidations. So they want what some people refer to as a soft consolidation. So what we have done in those environments, and we've done it quite a bit even with partners, is use a tool called Board software. Board is, we resell that, and we have built consolidated financials in that example, in that tool. So in this case, it's just an example of a consolidated balance sheet. I hid the company names to protect the innocent, but basically this is the consolidated number, and then you've got each of the company databases, and then you can have an eliminations one in Board. Why we've liked working with Board is you can have it programmatically calculate what those the eliminations are. The users can enter them, and it actually stores it in its own inherent database. Plus, it also can read the data, obviously, real-time out of SAP. So we like the fact that it's got that hybrid model of being able to have its own database, plus being able to read the data out of SAP and produce these types of financials. So if you've got questions and more info that you wanted to get about that, you can work with Mike Nardini. What's coming in Bizweaver? HANA support, probably 30 to 45 days out. We are currently under development. We're actually in testing mode of that. Same with SQL 2016 support. The ability to launch Bizweaver workflows through web service APIs. Okay, so what that means is I've got another tool I want to be able to call and run a workflow from something else. We'll have the ability to do that. That includes being able to do it out of our sister product, Versago. All right. Next is a fixed length file formatting in the flat file tool. So I talked about being able to do delimited files in JSON and XML, but what we currently do not have, which we will have shortly, is a fixed file layout. So, for example, if your file communication with your trading partner's got, the first 8 characters are the customer code and it's padded, and then the next 12 characters are the date, and the next ones are the document number. The next 6 characters are the document number, that kind of stuff. That's what we mean when we say a fixed length file formatting tool. Nested decisions, so decisions within decisions. More pre-built web service connections. So if you saw in that drop-down, I had Salesforce.com. We plan to add other ones like Magento, BigCommerce, etc., so that your other integrations will be easier than using the text-based web service connectivity. And then finally, more standard content around intercompany and other things like that. So Mike Nardini is going to just take over, talk about pricing.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. So I think we spoke to a bunch of you when we met you in Berlin last week, but this is basic pricing. And Bizweaver generally is priced based on how many types of workflows you have. So you saw some of the pre-built ones, the intercompany, anything you could build to integrate into an e-commerce website. Those are all individual workflows. So to get somebody in the door, the base product is 5,000 euros, and that would include creating or modifying the ones we give, the 10 different workflows. So again, like Mike said, a lot of these pre-built integrations that we have, we're going to be giving that with the product. So if you wanted to take any of them and tweak them for your customers, you'll have full ability to go and modify some of the SQL queries or, change the workflow around, add in a couple other pieces. So that's all included with any of these pricing tiers. And then obviously 25 workflows, you'll see 8,000 and unlimited. So if you have somebody that's setting up many different workflows to get an e-commerce integration going, and then, didn't want to worry about the quantity that they're setting up, we do have an unlimited package, and it's based, it's an initial price for the product, and 20% is billed annually for maintenance. So, I'll show you in the next slide, but once we get you guys a partner agreement, if you sign on board as a partner, there's obviously a partner margin in there for you as well. So just to give you an idea on the consulting, this will give you the idea for how many hours it would take to build some of those type of integrations. But if you had 2 companies and you have these three items, creating an intercompany purchase order, and a sales order in another, that entire package, would be about 20 to 30 hours to develop. And
keep in mind, if you're okay with the exact stock, I mean, you could probably be up and running quicker than that, but we like to just try to give you a buffer so that if you want to learn and you want to be able to do some adjustments for your customer on the fly and understand, kind of how to do stuff that's very tangible. You can really enjoy the ability to be able to tweak it and adjust it and meet those customer requirements. That's where we're budgeting. That's why we budget that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of the gate, obviously, they would work fine, but, you have that flexibility to change if anything is needed. And any of the other customization, obviously, there's some training that would be involved. If you want to switch to the next slide, we'll be able to provide some training to you guys. But if you wanted to take it and work with that from there, or if you wanted us to build these workflows out, we're available either way.
Yeah, but if I can interject,
Okay.
the training is extremely advisable. And the reason is it doesn't take long, and you can really solve a lot of customer business problems without needing to do API programming. So, intercompany aside, quite frankly, you can do a lot of stuff even within Business One. We have an example internally here where we actually do keep our customers' owned products in the SAP service contracts, but we wanted to be able to update those and kind of keep those up to date automatically based off of actual sales invoices. So when we invoice a customer for product, it goes on our service contract, and our whole company runs off that. And we didn't want to have the users have to remember and key those items onto the service contracts manually and remember to keep them up to date and keep them healthy. So we've got a Bizweaver workflow that automatically generates the service contract if they're a new customer. It automatically updates their existing service contract as we sell new software to them. And then on top of that, the service contracts contain information about whether people are current or not on maintenance. And Bizweaver updates that when the people pay their maintenance renewal invoices. And everything runs off of our service contracts. It's the backbone of our company. So it's crucial. It was easy to deploy and automate, and we're getting really good, accurate data. And we had no technical programming that we needed to do. Our consulting team helped build that, not our development team. We didn't have to write any code to automate that. So it's a really important workflow tool like that. So it is highly advisable to go through the training curriculum. Sorry, Mike.
No, it's okay. Yeah, of course. So as far as the training goes, we do have 2 different sessions that we would offer. There's the basic and advanced training. We cover them in 4 hours. So we could break that in half or do a 4-hour session. But this gives you a comprehensive view of how the installation would work, the architecture it's installed on, the overall basic configuration, how to implement, the existing workflows. And if there's other workflows that are created for one customer, we could show you how they're exportable and you'd be able to repurpose them for others as well. And then the more advanced training, obviously we go into some of the deeper dive into some of the other tools that are there, the email configuration, logging, and some other, advanced techniques and best practices, just so that, whatever you provide is going to be a little more, suitable for the majority of your customers. So yeah, as far as next steps, this is my email, my extension. So I'd be happy to talk to any of you about this product. If you guys wanted to hear a little bit more information, we can share that with you. And I can send you a partner agreement once we have you guys on board as a partner. We could definitely get you more detailed pricing and actually product information for all of our other products. And what would be great is if we can sponsor, be a co-sponsor for a webinar for, you to talk to your clients about this as well. This upcoming, I think we have a slide there too. We have an upcoming webinar this Tuesday for our Versago product. So for those of you that met us at the show, Bizweaver that you just saw here is the integration tool behind the scenes for Versago. So our web and mobile interactive web system is, we use Bizweaver behind the scenes to do that transfer of data back into Business One or into any other system, if the data is going, to another tool as well. So I'll get you guys this link for the webinar. I'll send that off to you later today. If I'll send you some information on our partnership agreement if you guys would like. We'll get that going right away. And I thank everybody for your time. So what we're going to do now, I think Mike was looking at some of the questions. So we'll see if it's 9:45. If you guys need to run, that's okay. If you want to hang out, for another quick minute, we can get through a couple of these questions that just came in.
So Mike, I don't see them. I don't have them.
Okay, I could share that with you. So just switch over to here. Are the transactions pushed over to Business One in real time?
Yes.
Okay. And can the SAP databases be on different servers, or do they have to be on the same server?
Yeah, I did mention that earlier. They can be on different servers.
Okay. And the solution, is it supporting the elimination transaction at the level of the consolidated reports?
Yeah, so as I explained earlier, tend to work with board software for the reporting. So what we generally do is we actually have with board, we have kind of predefined reporting tools or predefined reporting data set that handles intercompany, and one of the things that it can do is it can determine what is the rule for eliminations, and from there it can calculate the eliminations. If you saw that screen where I had company 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the reporting engine, so like I said earlier, most of our customers do not want to do eliminations in a specific database or anything like that. They want to do them only in the reporting tool. So currently, Bizweaver does not do it out of the box. All right. I believe it could be made to do it so that if you wanted to generate an eliminations company database, we can sense when there's an intercompany sale and do the eliminations on that and post those automatically to the eliminations database. It absolutely can be done. We have not deployed it that way, mainly because our customers, we found that the market didn't want it to do it that way. But if you wanted to be able to do that, we could certainly look at a joint effort in order to do that. It would not take long to do it. Any one particular workflow takes 4 to 8 hours to write from scratch. Right? And you have the power to do it. So in a perfect world, you have the power to do it, and you would do it because you're going to earn, you would gain that services revenue.
And a couple more here, Mike. This one is, does the mapper support user-defined objects as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, failed to mention that. It supports UDOs, UDTs, and UDFs. Okay.
And there's a couple questions that came in around other systems. So can it have direct integration with Microsoft AX?
Maybe we'd have to look at it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Can the different server be in a different geographical location?
As long as we can open up a communication layer, right? Mainly SQL ports or have a VPN, then yes.
Okay. Can you trigger the SAP transaction based on an event in SAP and not just SQL and time-based?
It's coming. That's what's going to come with the web service, the ability to call a workflow from a web service. That will be there. Currently, it is it's time-based. In probably in quarter 2, we'll have the web service connection to be able to run them automatically. So that would actually allow us to do that.
Okay. And I think that's all the questions we have just now.
Okay. So yeah, if anybody's got more detail, like if we want to delve into like the AX issue, I mean, I know AX is SQL-based. But what we just have to figure out is if you want us to get data out of AX and turn it into SAP, I know we can handle that. But if we wanted to look at doing things like being able to post to AX, we'd have to look at what's involved there because, they have their APIs. We have to make sure we stay compliant with them. So we'd have to look into look at the involvement with that. So yeah, we could certainly look at that with you.
All right. Well, thank you again for everybody for attending. Look forward to my email later today with some more information and feel free to reach out to me, mnardini@twbs.com. Thanks again.